Have you ever felt a secret little thrill when someone you dislike fails? Maybe when a cocky celebrity gets taken down a peg, or a rival team loses a big game? That feeling has a name, Schadenfreude. It's the pleasure you get from someone else's misfortune. But here's something you might not know. Not all Schadenfreude is created equal. Feeling happy when a cheater gets caught? That's very different from enjoying a random person's suffering. And then there's a third type that psychologists say reveals something genuinely dark about your character. Let's talk about which type you experience and what it says about you. First, let's get the pronunciation right. It's Schadenfreude, a German word that literally means harm joy. It's a complex human emotion that we've all felt at some point, even if we don't like to admit it. For a long time, it was just seen as this single, slightly shameful feeling. But recent psychological research has shown it's much more nuanced. Researchers have identified 3 distinct types, and understanding them can tell you a lot about your own moral compass. So let's dive into the first and most common type, justice-based Schadenfreude. This is the "they had it coming" feeling. It happens when you see someone who you believe has done something wrong or is a bad person finally get their comeuppance. Think about a corrupt politician being exposed, a scammer getting caught, or even just someone who cut you off in traffic getting a speeding ticket a mile down the road. That little burst of satisfaction you feel? That's justice-based Schadenfreude. Psychologists consider this type to be completely normal and even socially useful. It's rooted in our deep-seated desire for fairness and justice. When we see a bad person suffer, our brain interprets it as the world rebalancing itself. The moral scales are being tipped back to even. It reinforces social norms and our belief that good behavior is rewarded and bad behavior is punished. So, if you feel happy when you see someone who's been acting immorally face consequences, you can relax. You're not a bad person, you're just a person with a strong sense of justice. It's a way of affirming our own values without having to do anything ourselves. This is the Schadenfreude of social order. Now, let's move on to the second type, rivalry-based Schadenfreude. This one is all about competition. It's the joy you feel when a rival, whether it's a person, a team, or even a company, stumbles or fails. This is the classic emotion you see in sports fans when their main competitor loses a championship game. Or maybe it's the feeling you get when a colleague who's always one-upping you messes up a big presentation. The key here is that the other person's failure benefits you, even if only indirectly. Their loss is your gain. It boosts your own self-esteem and social standing by comparison. If your rival is doing poorly, it makes you feel like you're doing better. This type of Schadenfreude is less about morality and justice, and more about self-enhancement and social comparison. We are constantly, often subconsciously, comparing ourselves to others. When someone in our in-group succeeds, we feel a sense of shared pride. But when someone in an out-group or a direct rival fails, it can trigger this pleasure. Is this type bad? Well, it's a bit more of a gray area. It's still considered within the range of normal human behavior, especially in competitive contexts like sports, business, or even social circles. It's a natural byproduct of our tribalistic, competitive nature. However, if this is your dominant form of happiness, if you can only feel good about yourself when others are, failing, it might point to some underlying insecurities or low self-esteem. Relying on others' misfortune to feel good isn't the healthiest foundation for self-worth. But in small doses, feeling a little glee when your rival fumbles, that's pretty standard human stuff. Okay, we've covered justice and rivalry. They're understandable, common, and not necessarily signs of a bad character. But now we need to talk about the third type. This is the one that takes a darker turn. It's called aggression-based Schadenfreude. This is pleasure derived from seeing someone suffer who you perceive as being part of an outgroup. Unlike the other 2 types, this isn't about justice or personal competition. It's about dehumanizing another group and enjoying their pain, simply because they are other. This is the kind of Schadenfreude that fuels intergroup conflict, prejudice, and hatred. It's the joy a person might feel upon hearing about a misfortune that has befallen. A group of people of a different nationality, political party, or ethnicity, The suffering person has done nothing to you directly. There is no rivalry. There is no injustice being corrected. The pleasure comes purely from their identity as a member of a group you despise. Psychologists see this type as a major red flag. It's often linked to what is known as the dark triad of personality traits: narcissism, Machiavellianism, and psychopathy. People high in these traits tend to have a lack of empathy, a willingness to exploit others, and an inflated sense of self. Aggression-based Schadenfreude is an expression of this lack of empathy. It involves seeing another group not as individual humans, but as a monolithic, undeserving other. This is the type of Schadenfreude that can justify and perpetuate real-world harm. It's the psychological mechanism that allows people to cheer for the suffering of strangers. So this is the one you need to watch out for in yourself and others. If you find yourself feeling happy about the suffering of a whole group of people you don't even know, that's a sign that something is amiss. It's a departure from the normal social emotions and a step into genuinely harmful territory. It indicates a failure of empathy, which is a cornerstone of our shared humanity. Let's recap the 3 types so you can see where you might fall. Justice-based. Pleasure from a wrongdoer's downfall. This reinforces our sense of fairness. It's generally seen as positive. Rivalry-based. Pleasure from a competitor's failure. This boosts our self-esteem through social comparison. It's a gray area, but common. And finally, aggression-based. Pleasure from an outgroup's suffering. This is rooted in dehumanization and linked to dark personality traits. This is the one that makes you a bad person, or at least reveals a deeply troubling aspect of your character. So the next time you feel that spark of joy at someone else's expense, take a second to ask yourself, why am I feeling this way? Is it because I believe justice has been served? Is it because their loss feels like my win? Or is it something darker? Is it because I see them as less than human? Being honest with yourself about the source of your Schadenfreude can be a powerful tool for self-reflection. It's not about feeling guilty for having these emotions. They are a part of being human. It's about understanding them. Understanding where they come from gives you the power to control them, rather than letting them control you. If you find your pleasure is often coming from rivalry, or, more concerningly, from aggression, it might be an opportunity to work on building your self-esteem from within, or to consciously practice empathy for people outside your immediate circle. Remember that empathy is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. Emotions are complex, but by breaking them down, we can gain incredible insight into who we are and who we want to be. Schadenfreude isn't just a funny-sounding German word. It's a window into our moral and social psychology. Thank you so much for watching. What are your thoughts on this? Have you experienced these different types of Schadenfreude? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear your perspective. And if you found this video interesting and want to learn more about the psychology behind our everyday lives, make sure to subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next video. See you next time.